Мартино, дашь мне поволение просто? Okay, that's great. Oh, Krishna, we would like to ask you, before you start the lecture, we would like to ask you to introduce yourself just briefly. It will be really nice.
Of course, of course. So we begin our wonderful get-together now?
Yes, we can start.
Super. Namaste, everybody. Namaste to you all, and thank you all for participating. Here is what today I share a little insight. And this little insight comes from when this guy was in his mother's womb. She used to read from the Gita every evening. And when she read from the Gita, there was absolute peace and tranquility inside the womb. But the moment she stopped reading, this little baby used to kick. So we understand very deeply that we are vibration. We are a frequency. We are governed in water and light. So, of course, that is the foundational basis. From there, of course, I grew up in India in very guided, directed Ayurvedic household. My mother was very particular about it. So was my father. And then I went on in my early years to understand a lot about Ayurveda from very top level people in Ayurvedic institutions who were friends of my parents. And I used to go and spend a lot of time with them in their respective centers and how they prepared the various concoctions. And then they used to also tell me, I was a young fellow, and tell me during that time, what is the effect of the energy of such plants? You know, energy of plants like curcuma, turmeric as an example, plants like sandalwood. These are sacred plants of India, the tulsis. So from that period of time, from the early formative years of growing up, then I went on to do a lot of understanding about the nature of human mind. What is the mind? What is the nature of the mind? Why are we given this magnificent ecosystem? And what is the purpose of this ecosystem? What is the highest purpose, ultimately, of this ecosystem? Is it to function, get a job, get some education, and do things to make money and go on vacations? Well, all that sounded good, but there was more to life than that. There was something even more, not deeper, but rather when we begin to see that all of life is to raise the vital life energy inside not only 40 trillion cells that we carry, but we know that when we are in luminous quality, it radiates naturally. And we don't have to say anything. You know, we can sit in the presence of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and he doesn't have to say one word, but we all feel wonderful. True? See, and ultimately, all these qualities reside in all of us. Yes. Then, of course, I studied industrial engineering, I studied mechanical engineering, and then also continued to do Masters of Business Administration, and then got even further deeply involved after my meeting with dear Constantine to go deep into study of biophysics. And this development, so not only I live here in United States, I have an institute here for science, spirituality, and sustainability, and which I founded with two of my colleagues over 10 years ago. And the whole significance of this is the fusion, ultimately the fusion of how we all integrate ourselves from the center. And when we integrate ourselves from the center, what joy, what unbounded energy we are able to have, continuously rippling streaming in and streaming out. So it is one continuum and continuous flow. So this is our natural nature. But to connect to this natural nature, we need to be observant how to still the mind. How to still the mind. It is easy to talk about, but it is the practice that guides us. And then as we are disciplined in our practice, there is an expansiveness that begins to take place. So, dear Maria wanted to give a little introduction about Krishna. Well, the whole significance of this is to be in our center, be illumined, because it is our natural state. Being illumined is not something that we need to aspire to. It is our natural state. And there are, of course, our deep research and understanding in water. I've been researching with dear Constantine water for now close to 18 years, both in United States, in South America, all across India, and portions of Europe, and now also leading into Africa. But these are areas that we'll go into more detail as we begin our moments together. What I would like to share today is a continuation from, I was in Buenos Aires last week. I just got back from Buenos Aires, and there, along with the a wonderful organization that is dedicated towards promoting peace in the world, based upon the vision of dear Nicholas Roerich. He was a wonderful being of Russian descent who lived in the Himalayas. Many of you may know of him. Nicholas Roerich proclaimed in 1935 that no matter whether there is peace or war in the world, the highest aspirations of human should be fostered. The art should be fostered. The science should be fostered. The spirit of life should be fostered. So this wonderful group invited me to present to me a award to say that your work collectively in what you are doing in the world is based upon the raising the bar of consciousness, and hence they would wanted to award me an ambassador of peace. So and of course I thank, and it was partly sponsored by the Congress of Argentina. So we see that we are all emissaries that seek one fundamental principle. And that one fundamental principle is, if we are at peace within, there is naturally peace that will follow, no? And peace that follows is not something that we have to sit quietly in meditation. No, it is celebratory. We are like young children of life, but with focus, with our guided direction, always, all our life, every breath of our life is a ceremony. It's a ceremony. And we can call it a prayer, we can call it a meditation, but it is naturally this way. So when we begin to integrate this into technology, which is how in my first meeting with dear Constantine, when we met in India, this was 20 years ago, I asked him one question. He said, what inspired you to bring this technology to the world? Where we were both in a conference. That was our first meeting. Constantine introduced the whole science of bioelectrography. At that time, the earlier technology of gas discharge visualization had software-based platforms, and Krishna's talk was on the use of essential oils for raising the inner power from core of us to connect to source field. So when I asked Constantine, what inspired you? And he said, when you awake with the understanding and realization that the most powerful force of all the universe is love, then you are guided. So since that moment, dear Constantine and myself have been as two soul brothers, because our vision and mission is the same. It is to raise that bar in each and every one, so that Whether it happens in this lifetime or multiple lifetimes does not matter. But the process is to be guided in this way, because it is all one continuous wave. No, we will have moments that take us to peaks, then we bring to valleys, but these are all harmonics of life. We can call them circadian rhythms, we can call them all kinds of planetary influences and all the following, but ultimately the less work we have to do upon ourselves, the brighter it is. This is, again, I can only talk from personal experience, not quoting anybody, because it is through that guided direction that we come to realizations. And then we apply these realizations into life in a focused manner, like a laser beam, which is why we have the Anya chakra. See, so when we talk about introduction, so dear Maria, that is my introduction. So go ahead, you were going to say something.
No, it was great. Please continue. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I shall continue. So what I would like to do is, I prepared a PowerPoint, and I would like to lead and walk you through this beautiful PowerPoint that integrates everything from what we call, to know the macro, we also need to understand the micro. These are singularly intertwined inside of us in a very, very dynamic rhythm that in Vedic science we call the koshas. From Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. In the biowell, we can define them when we look at the human energy field by calling physical energy distribution, emotional energy distribution, psychological energy distributions, and spiritual energy distributions that have their respective zones of color, as we all know, within a certain bandwidth of the visible spectrum. So that being conveyed, we are continuously in this observational state so that we can always keep refining ourselves. Now, this is in the field of the science of bioelectrography, which I call a holy science. It is a holy science because it opens the gateways of deeper understanding, for deeper investigative understanding, because we are the most fabulous research module on the entire universe. When we know thyself, I mean, these are the words that dear Jesus also talked about, as Buddha talked about, know thyself. When we know thyself, we don't need gadgets. You see, but we are still evolving. We are still evolving. We are still in, I would say, the kindergarten of our advancement in consciousness, because we are still living like barbarians, as you can see in the world. How is it? Even though we may have fabulous sciences, but even our science is very limited in scale, at least what we see in the visible world. Of course, when we look at tremendous development that was once behind what we call the Iron Curtain, there was tremendous development of high level of research from areas of what Kozyrev did, Alexander Gurevich, Albert Szent-Györgyi, now Vladimir Vyakov, and now Konstantin, and hosts of his other colleagues are doing yeoman work. Why? Because in my frequent visits to Russia since 2000, and getting to interact with many of dear Konstantin's colleagues from academies of sciences, and of course there I got to realize that Russia and early Vedas have very deep correlation, very deep correlation, and this goes back, predates a long period, because there was always a deeper investigative nature as to how nervous efficiently? How is it that we stop our heart from beating? And how can we still find out what is going on? So these were all the areas that, and when Albert St. Georgi said, to understand life, we need to understand the electron configurations inside of complex molecular systems. See, it's a very clear. And this same thing that we reference in Vedas is Om Purnamada Purnamidam. I will show you that slow in the PowerPoint. Is we come from that whole, as what also Dalai Lama wrote, the universe in a single atom. Every cell of our being is so vitally vibrant. And so these are all the areas. Then our investigations began with water. And why water? Because there is one particular mantra in the Vedas. It is called Mantra Pushpam. In Mantra Pushpam is very, very precise clarification that everything that we are doing today to understand the complexity, the nature of water, has been identified in this one sloka. He who knows the essence of water will know the essence of everything. It's a very clear, it's a very purposeful statement to bring forth to the valuation of human life, so that how we live in every moment of life is to be expanded, because we are expansion. That's why we are given this magnificent Anahata Chakra. So the heart not only beats up but it also gyrates. In that space of gyration, it sends the blood plasma through 65,000 kilometers of capillaries, microcapillaries, veins, and in spiraling dynamics that is able for us all to interact. So, water. We will address on water and some of the research arenas that we are exploring, and where we are all being guided and led towards ultimately that everything that we even know that we have thought, we should take it and say thank you very much and go and give it as an offering, so that this is an empty space. So when it is empty, it can always receive and can always transmit, isn't it? So I have salutes to all of you. This is nice green tea, not vodka. Okay, so let us get to the PowerPoint. So share a screen, and there we are. So now, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so the topic that I felt was very appropriate is what was shared in Buenos Aires, is about inner peace. Now, inner peace in a troubled world, is it worth the effort? What is the benefit? Can individuals, societies, organizations, nations be the change to create inner peace? So this was the basis of exploration. And I shared in this presentation, we will share and participate in methods that create the blueprint to achieving these objectives. So there are three beautiful wisdom quotes that I would like to bring forth. And we grow up with this right from childhood. What is within us is perfection. The outer world can attain perfection only when the inner world inspires, guides, molds, and shapes the outer world. This is something to essentially reflect on. Reflect on, because these are still moments that we can, by virtue of breathing, and when we breathe, of course, there is a preciseness of how we can create a soft, energetic, dynamical presence woven into us. And I'd like to share that with you too. So this, the first statement, is an inspiration that plants the seed inside of us to the realization that we come from perfection. Unlike the Occidental approach, which makes it very difficult for an Occidental mind to even comprehend that depth of this statement. However, we are now to balance both the hemispheres, isn't it? Because education is the manifestation of the perfection already in human. We are designed in that perfection. We have never not been designed in that perfection. So, isn't our learning to be in this way? Yes? No? You can raise your fingers. Voila, voila, thank you, thank you, thank you. You see, that's the direction. And now what are we seeing? We are observing, mainly because of technology and because of our communication media networks, as the way we are all communicating now, is that we can share actual events that show how a thought influences a field. And hence, the quality of a thought has the power to spread like planting seeds across this beautiful, rich planet and beyond. See, and that's where the third passage, it's from the Chandogya Upanishad. There is a light that shines brighter than the earth, the stars, the heavens, and that is the light that shines in the diamond that resides in the lotus of the heart. Now, just keep that visual picture, that diamond that resides in the lotus, right there in the lotus of the heart. There's a diamond. That little diamond sparkles. To ennoble that sparkle, there has to be joy. Not happiness. There has to be joy. For that joy to manifest, well, that's what this whole presentation is to guide to the realization, because as Krishna is also sharing it, deep insights also keep coming to me. So the next slide is this beautiful blue lotus. Blue lotus, and we can see how vibrant it is, how nature represents this beauty, this power, this clarity. Because you look at a lotus, and the lotus can grow in even muddy waters, not clean waters. But yet, does it shine its absolute brilliance? It does it not? That is our inner center. We call them chakras, but those are our inner power points. Centers of power. Each and every one of these major centers are centers of power. They are to be fully lived and fully utilized, which is why they are given. No. So it is for us to align to this, and then there are lovely steps, there are procedures of how we can in turn be able to be empowered, and how, of course, all of us use the biowell. Yes, everybody use the biowell here. Voila, beautiful. So we see how precisely the biowell is able to record such data. And now, of course, the most complex part of all this is the ability to interpret very subtle forms of information that is provided in our screens. That is where ultimately we will be able to bring forth the next stage of highlighting human awareness. So, This is Swami Vivekananda ji, who I love immensely, who was stirred the nation and stirred the US in very big way. So he has a beautiful quote, but it is coming straight from him. Heart is a very good fertilizer. Anything we plant, love, hate, fear, hope, revenge, jealousy, surely grows and bears fruit. We have to decide, what do we want to harvest? Hari Om. Isn't it? Very important, very vital, very essential. That one statement gives us everything there is to guide us to live integrally. Then, in Occidental cultures, they are realizing many Oriental ideas of energy body because of the advances of science. Because we have very clear understanding that we are body of light. We live in body of light. There is a wonderful sutra called the Prajna Paramita Sutra in deep Tibetan practice. And I will recite it, yeah, for all of you. It goes as follows. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi, swaha, So this wonderful sutra goes, it's translated, says, gone, gone, gone beyond the senses, gone beyond thought, gone beyond the thought of thoughts. Hail to those who have illumined these pathways so that we may continue in this direction, unbounded, travel in clarity, travel in peace. Then, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Beautiful, isn't it? How, forget, it is elegant, it is precise, it is when we live in the body of light, we are not contained inside of time. It is another evaluation of human transformation from body of matter to body of light, which is also what dear Einstein saw very, very precisely in his development of E-mc squared. It is the triple manifestation. We have cultures, we have civilizations who live in this manner. Many of you may have heard the term Shambhala. Yes? Shambhala. Otherwise, Google it, you will get data. So, but Shambhala, S-H-A-M-B-H-A-L-A. And in the word Shambhala is where there is a coherent dynamic of all living systems. A coherent dynamic of all living systems. And so what I wanted to share over here was very, very, it touched me very deeply. I was in Sicily at a place called Monreale. And you can see I've written there. Here it says Cathedral in M-O-N-R-E-A-L-E. I missed out an E. Monreale, Sicily, Sicilia. So there, in this beautiful, beautiful cathedral, there is the Christos with a mudra position. You see, this mudra, that is the mudra of heart, the root, the heart, and the crown. And in Sanskrit, we call this the prana mudra, which I will show later. in the forthcoming slides. This prana mudra is for complete connection, and in his left hand, he is holding the book of light. Isn't it elegant? Because in various cathedrals I have gone and visited, I have not seen the Christ in any mudra with the fingers. Have you? It's an open question. So this was built, it was built around the 12th century, this period of time when this took place. So now we'll go a little deeper inside here, because such deep understanding about what do mudras, the connection of each and every finger, not only to the micro, but also to the macro, is a continuous affirmation. It is a continuous aspect of rejuvenation, regeneration, and transmission. So we go to next slide. And of course, now we understand that we are involved in very, very vast areas of research and advancement, and ultimately advancement, because science, when it is for the advancement of human being and of nature and of life, then we know that there is a quality in what we do, which is why even way back then, folks like Nicholas Tesla observed what is the power of Akash, what is the power of the great plasma that we prevail in, how can it be utilized in communication, how can it be utilized in various stages, because we are also electrical, we are charged electrical particles, that continuously transmit, every cell transmits by weak photon emissions. So such dynamism is evolving and continuing. So the assessment of that, we see that now BioWell has brought next stage of development, because we are also utilizing the effect of cloud, so that communication in remote areas is also can be done. And today, the very world of Wi-Fi is a significant parameter of importance in the organization of communication patterns of life. So the basic principles, since all of you are also very much BioWell and GDV users, but again, this is a more of a technical chart that really shows what occurs when we place our finger and we gather data from the finger, and when you have such an avalanche discharge of photons and electrons, and how that information from the microcapillaries that flow between the fingers all the way gets transmitted, that electrical signal, that light signal gets transmuted through a CCD, and that gives us this wealth of data. So we see that we are definitely in development of next spheres that can really ennoble science and human transformation. So, and of course, we have very, very quick and very simple and very spot analysis of such data. And then we see, how many of you have seen this chart? Raise your hand. Okay, so then let me explain. May I explain about this? Yes? Okay. So let's take the finger. It goes here where you got a negative electron. So there it goes, and the finger is placed now on the electrode. And then you give it an excitation. On the BioWell, you get a 5 kilovolt excitation. So that excitation creates a charge. That charge is an emitted light. That emitted light goes through the CCD camera, and that in turn gives us the continuous outputs that we can see from all the 10 images of the fingers. And there is tremendous wealth of data that we can obtain from the 10 fingers individually from each and every finger, because the way I see the nature of the development from the early years of the development of the software to where it is now, there is strong correlation between Ayurveda, strong correlation between how the meridian flows of information and the way the sympathetic parasympathetic system is designed and developed. So we have very high level of being able to look at information that we get. So we know areas of application has medicine, was one of the primary, then consciousness studies, very active in Russia, of course, in sport. And now we are going to be incorporating such practices in India, which is because I dedicate a lot of moments in India and have been a research advisor to one of the leading yoga science universities of India called U.S.A, headed by Dr. Nagendra, who was once a scientist at NASA. And here we have developed a complete laboratory all the way from neuroscience to microbiology to gene recognition and understanding, to bioelectrography laboratory, psychology laboratory, sleep laboratory, so that when we look at patterns, we are able to look at multiplicities of data, not only gathering data from neuronal firing orders, but also being able to look at telomeres. Because recently, a Nobel in medicine was awarded to Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn for her research in telomeres. And these telomeres show that when we are under high level of stress, how these telomeres begin to shrink. And when they shrink, the aging process begins to accelerate. But and hence she found that aspects through meditation, and meditation is a very broad word, and I don't want to use it in a very loose sense. I would like to get more precise as to exactly how it can be utilized in our daily life. While we are walking, we're taking a subway, sitting in a taxi or a bus or driving a scooter, you're never not in touch. See, that's living. And that quality of living is what we have been, in more ways than one, not disconnected from, but have not been brought to the realization of. So that we live in this presence all the time. And it is for us to just tune that wonderful system. So this is what we are doing in U.S.A, which is just outside Bangalore. And in the last 4.5 years, we've had over 19 PhD thesis papers that have been published in peer-reviewed journals. And now we are extending and accelerating this enrollment because it is new development in very high standards of deep understanding of the evolution, ultimately of human, so that if there is physical characteristics like physical pathologies that affect the lives of people, we need to address them, yes, but let's go a little deeper and take these folks through these treatment protocols, whether it is drinking informed water, coherent water, whether it is inducting a certain practice that can raise the quality of the telomeres, that can increase hydration inside the cells, that can enhance the vital prana or the vital energy inside of us. Those are the focal points that this guy is completely dedicated to. And of course, we are celebrating this all over the world now. So, and this is also very much in par with the dear Prime Minister Modi ji of India, who sees that the guidance of this wealth of this wonderful region, it is not just a nation. It is a region because it was once called Sanatana Dharma. And Sanatana Dharma in Sanskrit means land of infinite wisdom. And land of infinite wisdom does not bring separation. It is a grand unification, which is why it is called Sanatana Dharma, which is all unification. in science today, in the science of the unified field, we call this the diversified fluctuations of the unified field of natural law. Okay, so then water and material testing, of course, in psychology, and used a lot in geoactive zones. Because how many of you use a Sputnik? Excellent, excellent. Okay, so these are all the areas of exploration, and hence we always are in very, very strong dynamic moments, because every thought that we think travels at the speed of light. And the speed of light goes 7 times around the earth. When we do put our fingers out like this, these micro capillaries, when we do distant healing, do we not use the fingers? Do we not use the palms? Right? So this is a cross-section to really show how information of the finger receptors, and why are the fingers chosen versus the toes, any other part of the body, why the fingers? So this is an important consideration. We go deeper into this when we do our training to understand the science of bioelectrography. That's where we go and dedicate more time in here. Now, of course, analysis at your fingertips, and each and every finger has been categorized to give us very, very precise sectors, and hence we can get rich data when we understand the nature of what is occurring. And of course, we know the main principles. These are the main principles: analysis of the energy type, sector analysis in accordance with the diagnostic tables, then principles of homeostasis, which is an important fundamental chapter for every GDV biowell user across the planet to understand the principle of homeostasis. Isn't it, Maria? And from all that, we get wealth of correlation of data. So what are we measuring? We are measuring the system analysis of the functional state of the autonomic nervous system and the psychophysiological state of a person. Then the 3 platforms of how the development of these algorithms came, when dear Constantine had this flash in his entire system, that to bring this first to the whole understanding to Western scientists, the Occidental mind, let us go deeper to understand that we are not just matter, but we are ultimately based upon dynamical activation of electron flows. So these are the 3 platforms under which this wealth of algorithmic data has been compiled, and is going to continue getting more potent. So here's a practical citation I wanted to just bring forth. After a 3-minute breathing exercise, this was a person, she's an executive in a corporate world in India. And of course, corporate, for a lot of people, stress is a very strong aspect that goes on. And she came, we had got together, I was giving a talk at the company, and I said, I'm going to share with you a simple 3-minute breathing exercise. Shall we practice it? It's very beautiful and elegant. Everybody up to practicing it? Yes? Okay, let's see who are all here. Okay, so we will do it. This was passed down to me by a very advanced rishi who lives in the southern part of India. And he teaches this to the CEOs of companies in Singapore. And I'll just give you the cycle. You breathe in for 3, you hold for 3, you breathe out for 3, and you hold for 3. So we did this. So it is uh, each cycle is 12 seconds. So you've got 5 cycles per minute. And we did this for 3 minutes. So in the first minute, because she had a lot of stress going on, I always recommend breathing in and using a color like golden light coming through, which is a deep Tibetan practice that was also passed on to me. You breathe in golden light for a breath of 1, 2, 3, and then you hold for 3. And when you breathe out forcefully from the mouth for bringing out the color of gray, so that all that is contained inside that is not beneficial to the supporting of the system can be expelled. So do that for 1 minute. So that will be 5 cycles. And then, now, any of you have a bottle of oil, essential oil with you? If you have a bottle of essential oil, like this. So we will do something. I shall. Voila. There. Okay. So we will transmit this aroma to all of you. That's in this lovely little bottle. So inside here is a genie of red and green mandarin, lemon, and the orange blossom flower. So we put a little on the palm like this. So it is there on my palm. See? Now we rub our palm together. And shall we do our breathing? So, and then softly breathe like this. For the count of 1, 2, 3. Holding for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out the color of gray for 1, 2, 3, and holding for 1, 2, 3. Then breathing in, golden light, 1, 2, 3. Holding 1, 2, 3. And breathing out from the mouth forcefully with the color of gray for 1, 2, 3. And then holding for 1, 2, 3. So we'll do the same thing, breathing in again. Breathing in golden light for 1, 2, 3. Holding for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out from the mouth with the color of gray. 1, 2, 3. And holding for 1, 2, 3. So like that, now we'll shorten it. The next 2 cycles, we won't breathe out of the mouth, but we'll breathe out of the nose. Breathing in golden light, 1, 2, 3. Holding for 1, 2, 3. Breathing out softly, 1, 2, 3. And holding 1, 2, 3. Last cycle, we breathe in, golden light, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Breathing out softly from the nose, 1, 2, 3. And holding for 1, 2, 3. And just take a moment with the eyes closed. And then softly give yourself a nice little scrub all the way to the whole body, the whole endocrine system. And softly open your eyes. So this 1 minute, this breathing is what we did, and you can see just from the nature of the data itself, starting with her energy field, it was really now from all the chaos that was there in her system, it completely subsided, and the flow of energy in the human energy field began to not have many fractures, but much more uniformity. Even though it is a process in evolution. But see what the power of breath does in a very simple manner. And the most beautiful part about it, it is free. And that's why we should enjoy it and encourage everyone to be able, because that is the gift that was given to us. True, isn't it? So again, on the chart on the bottom left-hand side, we can see the stress level, which is the top chart, came down. Her energy level, because she increased the vital flow of prana inside of us through high level of ionization. And then the next one, symmetry between left and right brain. You see how it has come closer towards the optimal range of 100. And the last part of the chart, I don't know whether you are seeing the last, but you can see the same thing, increase in the balance of the organs between the left and right side. So everything that was favorable for her growth, that she could incorporate into her busy schedule of her work schedule, her executive schedule, can we not spare 1 minute for the betterment of the quality of our life? Yes? Is that unanimous? Shall we have a toast to that? Salud, salud, salud. Okay. Nastarovia. Okay. So now let's come to another one. Let's come directly to the process of self-empowerment. It's what does self? Again, we give little acronyms. This is from my very, 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 very dear soul brother, Dr. Chandrasekhar ji, who is in Delhi, who was with us last year in St. Petersburg. So connection with the supreme source of spiritual energy as spiritual energy in light form, everything that we have been talking about. And how do we see this? The chakras and the structure of the nervous system. We see, many of you may have already seen this chart or something similar, but every chakra, starting from the Muladhara chakra, which is the root, to the crown chakra, is interconnected to the organ systems, all the way from the musculoskeletal system to the reproductive system, to the GI, the digestive system, to the cardiac system, see, to the endocrine system. So we are completely interconnected, and that is why it is vital that all our 7 major centers are addressed in a uniform direction, with, of course, a prominence, because everything steers from the Anahata chakra. All guidance is from the power of the diamond that resides in the heart. That is inner peace. That is inner perfection. So, mind and memory, we call it mind and memory management. So how do we sustain increased levels of activity without any distraction or discouragement? Is that possible? We should ask. Can the mind not be distracted? Can the mind not be discouraged? When we are always receiving inputs in some form or the other, this is the nature of the mind that is still in reactive stage. So if we are consciously staying in the original nature of peace, love, and happiness, which means that there is a light that shines, no? When we look at little children, How many of you have little kids? Beautiful. How old, Martina, is your little one? 11 years of age. 6 years. Oh, fabulous. Okay. All right. So you see that they are full of life. When you look at their eye, it is twinkling, it is bright. There is such joy that always is pouring out of them. Now, what happened to the adults? Shouldn't we have the same thing too? Because we were all there. What do you think, Maria? Shouldn't we have it? Okay. See, so it is vital, it is critical. But what are the steps? How can we do this? So, developing concentration by using both sides of the brain simultaneously, ability to visualize with the third eye, ability to memorize anything with increased concentration power. Now, these are all the natural outcomes that begin. So, how can we empower intellect, not intelligence? The intellect. Intellect is the nature of all dynamical energies of the universe. An empowered intellect has the ability to identify, assess, control the emotions of oneself, of others, and of groups. Which means that, you see, in an important story here, Buddha, during his period, always had get-togethers. And they had hundreds, thousands of monks out there. So in one such gathering, Buddha came and he sat there and he had a rose flower with him. And he just held the rose flower and sat. And first the monks thought after a few minutes that he's going to say something. No. They sat. This whole gathering was just that one moment. There was dear Siddhartha Buddha sitting with this rose in front. And then he put the flower down, got up, and continued. That one was a complete symbol that of perfection. Here is a rose that is filled with thorns, and it is a nature of life. It is a story of life. Can life go nice and smooth all the time? See, we ask, these are not questions for the mind. These are questions that evoke deep understanding. Because then we are able to observe all practices, all processes, ability of decision making, ability to take responsibility for the decision makings that we have done, always seeing in others, always the best. That little diamond shines in everybody, in everybody. The only variation may be the degree of what we call the sattva, the rajas, and the tamas. These are natural characteristics that what we would call the level of consciousness, LOC. The nature of the sattvic mind, the nature of the rajasic mind, the nature of the tamasic mind. These are states of mind. And to learn more, Google them. Sattva, S-A-T-T-V-A, Rajas, R-A-J-A-S, and Tamas is T-A-M-A-S. Otherwise, later on, we can discuss this when we will have some collective interactive moments. Right, Maria? Okay. So, then we come to our next slide. So all this again starts to address something that's even more vitally essential, because we have this beautiful form that we are all traveling with. Now, don't you think this form should be functioning optimally? Yes, it should be functioning optimally. But what are the characteristics? So we look at the human body. It is water. It is water. Actually, even more than water, we are a liquid crystal. William Tiller, a wonderful scientist who was a emeritus professor of material science. He wrote in one of his first books, late 80s, called Science and Human Transformation. He said, we are liquid crystal-like receptors of subtle energies that have the capacity to receive information from all dimensions when our two hemispheres are synchronized. We are liquid crystal-like receptors of subtle energies. See, you look at mass, volume of water in the brain, volume of water in the bone, volume of water in the blood, kidneys, muscles. But our way of teaching forgot of water or never even thought about it. From the chemical point of view, water constitutes 99+% of all living matter. See, so water hence plays a very, very vital role. And here are some gateways. This was a presentation on the left-hand side that Konstantin presented at a water congress in Bulgaria. This was 2 years ago. See, and effects of coherent domains water to people and agriculture, and measured using biowell and the earlier technology. Showing again, you see the image of water before and after, then again a scientific laboratory analysis of pre and post water, and we can see the energy of the water increased. And similarly, we see the effect on human response. We see then the effect on agriculture, all of that in one chart. So to chickens, so to all life systems, to all energy systems. Then on the chart on the right-hand side, we begin to observe that water, when passed through, of course, today we have created a change in nature itself. We have disconnected ourselves with many natural ways of water flowing. So we end up creating gadgets. And these gadgets have the ability to be able to simulate the nature of water as it does if it were flowing in a waterfall, flowing in a stream. So we see what occurs when it breaks up into various clusters. So these are the kind of charts that we see up here on the top right-hand column. They get more organized, and when they get more organized, this chart at the bottom shows how these adaptabilities of the fusion of molecules is able to enter in through the cell walls versus larger clusters on the right-hand side, that some go in, but it doesn't get the full effect. Hence, what does it also do? It strengthens immune system. So like this, there have been many companies that have done and continue to build these water structuring devices. This one particular one is called Innate Water. You see that? Innate Water. If you go to innatewater.com, you will get a lot of wealth of data. So I've been doing research for all these companies over the last 17 years. What are the main influences on water? Now we come to deeper understanding of its aspect of how it really begins to influence us as a water body. So in water, you've got, again, it is based on various influences. On the top chart, on the top side of the chart, we see constant electromagnetic fields, human intentions, orgone, then surface contaminants from various from the industrial side of life, and then the other aspects of life on the left-hand side, on the bottom left, going down, succussion movement. Succussion is taking a glass like this and succussing it. They do it in homeopathy. And when you do things like this and you spin it around, anytime when you drink, before you drink water, if you can take it from one glass to another and pour it, this is what all across India, that's how they serve you tea and coffee. It keeps the flow active, and the activity of flow raises the quality, the quanta of light in the system. So that's why I prefer to always have water in glass walls. Uh, then water's response to stimuli, and this is again from our dear friend and colleague, dear Masaru Emoto-san. And we can see that there are charts. All of you, I'm sure, have seen this. Love and gratitude is the first chart, 1 and 2. And these were for hate and anger and what they do. We also see them in the same nature when we do it with the earlier precursor technology of the GDV, where we can study the behavior of water. And here we can, with the biowell and the water electrode, we can observe the response of the information that the water receives, which I will show you as we continue. So this is more of a sequential understanding between what we call bulk water and what we call coherent water. So more organized. And this is exactly what happens inside our systems when we do meditation, when we do breathing, when we drink informed water. These are the natural outcomes because they flow along the nature of natural law, which is order and elegance of the universe, to which a Nobel was awarded on the ultra-weak unified theory. So here are another practical citation to show the influence of what occurs by drinking just 12 ounces of structured water. Now, I know this is one simple example, but this is a mirror to what we have been observing right from 2001, when I got involved into doing water research. And at that point in time, we did major studies. Some were done with a well-renowned university in the U.S., and these were privately done studies, so I can share with you just some brief outlines. Is that by drinking what we call coherent water, it not only increases the immune system, strengthens the immune system, particularly certain markers like CD4, CD8 markers. It also increased gamma interferon in the system. It also was able to be utilized in the treatment of some very, very acute pathologies in stage 3 and stage 4, who also went into remission. So we see that the characteristics of water is very, very diverse, and it is very broad, and which is why when we look at informed water, this much water, let's say 12 ounces or 10 ounces of water, we cannot even put it as a comparison to what we've all been trained to think that we need to drink 2 liters of water a day. But 2 liters of dead water, what does it do to the system? You see, it makes us think that we are drinking water. So, but we need to have, that's why the deeper understanding. And what are some of the outcomes? You saw what are some of the outcomes. If your cells are hydrated, then your sodium-potassium balance is also balanced. So the demand for water is not as expansive. Of course, there are other considerations we must pay attention to, like our food habits. And of course, many of us like to have wine with our dinner or lunch. Some of us may enjoy single malt whiskeys, enjoy vodka, depending upon the country that we are in. But these are all, again, we get together with friends, we celebrate, but know thyself. Get a good balance of your system so that your system is always informing you at all these levels, what we call from the physical energy field to the spiritual energy field. So these are areas not to be attentive of, but take a moment anytime that you're getting a rush of data coming into your system. Always take a breath and flush the system out so that you create a clear field. And the moment you're able to have a clear field, you're naturally sending this information as a dynamical light wave across our energy body. And when we do that, what happens? What is the natural outcome? Towards order, towards elegance, towards coherence. It is the natural outcome of life. So this was a water to, again, to show that if we take an AquaGuard water and then pass it through a structured water device, does it make a difference? And I'm going to ohm to the water for 5 minutes. First to the AquaGuard water, because in India, you got these water purifiers, right? So in every apartment complex, you've got an AquaGuard seems to have cornered the market out there. And it has a carbon filter and it has other filters that says it takes out and it has a UV. So on the bottom left-hand side of the chart, that was AquaGuard water in a glass, and you can see the glass over here, and there is the water electrode, and here is my biowell setup. So I ohmed and I went like this. Om. So this was the continued wave vibration, and so you can see on the left-hand side, the AquaGuard water did respond to this stimuli. And you can see the nature of the response of the stimuli. Now, we took the same water, and the same water from the AquaGuard, and we passed it through a small structuring device, like you saw earlier in my earlier slide. And the same. And we see the response of the water, that the sharp spikes became little smoother. So that showed that in essence, the response of the water to a stimuli will always be helpful. So dear Masaru Emoto always said, you give a small thought, a prayer to the water before you drink it, and it will provide a response. In the next slide, this is with dear Chandrasekhar ji. So with dear Chandrasekhar ji, we were together in Delhi last January, and I was with him in his center, and this was water, they're drinking water, and he was going to do a meditation to the water. So on the left-hand side, you can see that we have baseline readings, and the chart that you're looking at is energy. So the y-axis is the joules, energy in joules. So the moment he set the intention of meditation, the spike went straight up, almost close to 4 joules from roughly about 2 joules. It jumped up, and then it continued slightly, and at this point, the telephone rang. And when the telephone rang, his attention just diverted for a micro moment. And you see what happens. The little drop that took place. And then it went back up. At the moment he stopped the meditation, it dropped, but it went even below the baseline of the water. This has a lot of meaning. A lot of meaning, because when we are attentive, when there is a rhythm and harmonic that is flowing, our interconnectedness, we can call it that life is a prayer. life is a ceremony. We are always connected to that life, is it not? So when we are connected, our energy level also stays within a bandwidth of a range. The moment we do not touch, we let ourselves go, and then we say, oh my God, I feel out of balance. You see what can happen? Our energy levels go even below the normal range. Just a thought to think on. So the energy meridians of the 5 elements related to the fingers, the thumb is element of fire. The index finger is the element of air. The middle finger is the element of space. The ring finger is the element of earth. And the little finger is the element of water. So we had water and earth in the mudra that Jesus had in the Cathedral of Montreal. So you see, we can also balance these imbalances within us just by understanding this one principle. And we see all this in the data in the biowell, when we look at the fingers, when we look at the inner contour of the fingers. These have very strong correlations with Ayurvedic understanding, with the Chinese medicine understanding of the 5 elements. So, Prana Mudra. It provides lots of energy. It removes tiredness. You can see right at the bottom what it says. So, and to just practice this Prana Mudra, and you practice this Prana Mudra with the breathing, and you can do a pre and post biowell on yourself 1 minute after. You will observe it naturally. So, again, the technology of directing mental energy through right breathing. The reason why I say essential oils, because I grew up with essential oils right as a child. My father was an ethnobotanist for the government. So the jungles, the plants, the extracts, they were all an integral part of my growing up. And that's why when you travel with a little bottle like this, and you can be in any environment, and all you do is take a touch and you rub it to your nostrils, and naturally as you breathe in, it creates an expansiveness. And that expansiveness is what occurs when the moment we take a breath. And I think back about over 10 years ago, the Nobel in Medicine was awarded to 2 doctors living in the U.S. on their explorations on the olfactory. So hence, it's a very, very important consideration. So this was another simple example of a person after doing a light meditation, a meditation on light itself, for every chakra, from the red to the orange, to the yellow, to the green, to the blue, to indigo, to the violet. That was, and then with that breathing, this particular one that's called the Citrus Symphony. And what we can see is there is an expansiveness that has taken place. The balance increased from 90% to 99%. Energy increased from 95 to 98 joules. But it's just citing a quick example, which is why, like when we are involved into some active process of work, where all we do, you take in a breath, and if you have a meeting and you have everybody just take a nice deep breath, center oneself before you begin your meeting, it becomes very, very energetic. So here again, we begin to see stress level is lower. Not that it wasn't low before, but energy level was again very highly accelerated. The symmetry went very, very high, and organs, you can see that it is increasing. This happened to be a person who has a very senior position with a leading newspaper in the United States. And he runs the North American and the South American division on the business section for this particular newspaper. So he's under very, very high action and activity. So here we see that this movement in this area has brought chakras into, again, not that they were not aligned before, but here they are showing a highlighted area of engagement. So intensity response of water to meditation. So ultimately, it gives us some very, very important principles to light our luminous essence. All love is expansion, all selfishness is contraction. So love is therefore the only law of life. He who loves, lives. He who is selfish is dying. Therefore, love for love's sake, because it is the only law of life, just as you breathe to live. Beautiful, no? So these are some wonderful guys who shared the collective belief. And you know, the folks on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, is a small, lovely group from India. We were all together in St. Petersburg last year. And this was the mantra I was telling you about, that understanding about the nature of the unified field, the micro and the macro, all integrated, because the deeper we go, the more we see in the behavior of the neurons, the behavior of the firing order of action and activity at cell level. And then, of course, on the expansive nature, we begin to observe the nature of brainwave coherence here. So this sutra, Om Purnamadha Purnamidham Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So this is whole, everything is whole. If you take something from the whole and move it somewhere else, the whole still remains. Knowing that, live every moment of your life in peace. So that is our essential nature. There is Om to us is the inherent vibration of the cosmos. And as we know, the Hubble telescope, when it was able to gather harmonics of planets, the harmonic of sun was observed to be as follows. Just close your eyes for a moment, please. Take a soft breath in and breathing out. Eliminate the harmonic of the sun. Now, as you softly, gently open your eyes, here's a wonderful exercise to be able to pass on, that was also passed on to me, is if you were to do this through both your ears, see, you cap them, and with the lips closed, And like this, you will begin to create an inner vibration. That inner harmonic, that inner vibration, you become a universe unto yourself. Practice this. It will be very, very supportive. And even for your 6-year-old. So that is the presentation. And now we come back to where do I go? We can see everybody now. Perfect. So let's see now. We come. Show small active speaker video. So dear Maria, how do we get to the big picture?
Krishna, you need to stop sharing. You're still sharing your screen.
Which screen?
Your screen. We still see your presentation. So you should click on the red.
So how do I should close it? No?
There is a red icon, stop sharing, on top of your screen. Can you see?
Resume share. Your screen sharing is paused.
You should click on stop sharing.
Okay. Stop, not stop video. Resume sharing. Pause sharing. And there. Now?
You're still sharing.
And the sharing window is closed. Okay. Now?
Yes, we can see you now. We can see everybody. So maybe somebody has any questions to ask the lecturer. It was an exciting lecture, so I'm sure there will be some questions.
Hello, Krishna. Where do you put your? I didn't get to look to where do you put your fingers in your ears to do the
Oh, here.
Okay. Here.
You just close the little
bubble.
Yes, the little projection, you see, and you just close it so that you create a closed loop system.
Okay. Thank you.
And then you with that, actually in among the Vedic teachers, they would do it like this. They would cross the hands and then do the same thing. You increase your power by doing this, by keeping the hands crossed, because it keeps a very strong flow going inside the system.
And you recommend doing this several times a day?
Oh, do it. Definitely do it in the morning, because then it gets your energy field activated, and which is a very supportive aspect to be able to raise that vital requirement to get it through the process of the beginning of your day.
Perfect. How long do you recommend? How many minutes?
Oh, 1 minute. 1 minute is also a long time. You can do it for 15 seconds. When you do it for 15 seconds like that, it also has a very strong, because it's a long time. When it is done completely, fully present.
Okay. Thank you.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Krishna, is it good to play with different keys? Like
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because that is that's the creative side. That's the creative, because we can play with tones.
Mm-hmm.
True, 100%.
Krishna, and when we are doing those breathing exercises and count 1, 2, 3, should it be like 3 seconds or
3 seconds? But don't be always keep it at 3, because if you were to look at count 3, just internally, 1, 2, 3. See, it's not 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2, 3. See, so you begin to ultimately master the nature of the breath, the requirement of the breath to your organism. Because pay attention now. This is a very good question you asked. Because just, through the course of your day, just be attentive to how many breaths am I taking in and out per minute. Just naturally, just pay attention to it. And it may be 10, it may be 15, some to maybe even more, 20. And we know that the more breaths we take per minute, the shorter is the lifespan. The longer the breath cycles, the greater the lifespan. That is why in the early Vedic period, long before there was any colonial activity in not India, but in the land of Bharat, people, the rishis said 220, 250 years. There are yogis today that go back 5,000 plus, they show up when you call them. Things like this occur. But when you understand the nature of breath, you go to knowing the nature of the breath itself to this organism. When the organism has awakened to the highest realization of its purpose. That deserves a toast, no? Ting. So tell me, okay, so Martina and Maria are in Estonia.
The Republic.
You're in the Czech Republic. Malcolm, where are you logged in from? Malcolm,
Ireland.
Marcella.
Ireland.
Mexico.
Thailand and Mexico.
Ireland.
Ireland. Okay, Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And then we have Susanna. I think maybe Susanna has left.
Susanna is in Canada.
Where?
Canada.
Oh, from Canada. Okay, fabulous. Fabulous.
Where are you, Krishna?
I'm in New Mexico, Taos, New Mexico.
Nice.
We want to go see you, Krishna. Actually.
So do come. Do come. You're most very well invited here.
We're researching water. We're passionate about everything, but one of our main passions is water. And right now we're beginning to work with a scientist. You probably know him, Nassim Haramein.
Yes,
He's
yes.
one of our teachers.
Mm.
We introduced, they already met, but we took Dr. Krotkov to Nassim's lab last month. And we're going to start working, measuring his arc crystal. And there's this crystal structures water and the electromagnetic field.
Mm.
So
Yes.
we'll start measuring the lab.
Beautiful.
And the effect of the crystals.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, there is like this. There is a wonderful group in Germany. A very, very close friend of mine in India, last 4 decades, a Sufi monk, developed a beautiful crystal that is used inside a water structuring device made in Germany. And years ago, I did a test on it. And good, the more we can bring forth such qualitative content in life, it is better for not just humanity, because if human is well, nature will naturally be well. Thank you. Thank you. Lovely. Good health to that, to your endeavors.
Thank you.
Mm.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of our company, of our community. Krishna, it was really exciting and it was a beautiful lecture. I guess all of us enjoyed it a lot. Thank you very much. And it was the last lecture of our Human Life System course too. So it was a beautiful ending of this course. So I would like to invite you, Krishna, to our farewell meeting, which will be on Monday. And of course, I invite all participants. Please come. We'll start at 5 p.m. Prague time, and it will last for approximately 2 hours. So, Krishna, if you are busy, it will be good if you have a chance to join us just for a few minutes, maybe just for a short time.
Send me. I think you did send me the link.
Yes, but I'll send you again, just to remind.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah. That sounds absolutely wonderful.
Something encouraging. Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
So number one, I thank. Shall we all send a invocation directed from the diamond of the heart, and we'll do a small, like a 1 minute meditation. Right, in this 1 minute meditation, let us all see ourselves in this wonderful visual of like this water crystal. This is a water crystal from the Gangotri River in the Himalayas. So let us see ourselves as this water crystal, and the diamond that is residing there in the heart is now going to radiate a luminous brilliance that is going to be not only in the area where you are sitting, across your whole space, across the land, across the community, across the city, across the state, across the nation, across the continent, through all the waters, bathing the whole beautiful planet, and then across to the solar system, into the Milky Way galaxy, and into the cosmos. We see ourselves being united in one dynamical rhythm of light. Shall we do that? Okay. Just keep the eyes partially closed, just looking to the tip, like of the nostrils, effortlessly. And as we breathe in, we give ourselves a wonderful wash so that we see ourselves as this lovely water crystal. And there, the sparkle of the diamond that resides within this water crystal, a beam of light is permeating in all the directions. And at the speed of light, it is nurturing and nourishing all beings in all spaces, in all dimensions. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhargave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. This was an invocation to peace called Niramaya. For all beings, for all spaces, in all dimensions, may be freed from all that has the capacity to bind one, and may all be freed from all entanglements to live, celebrate, exemplify, manifest, so that we live in a thriving ecosystem and be the stewards and caretakers of these thriving ecosystems. Travel in peace, abundantly. Amen. Namaste. Namaste, all my dear lovely beings together. And we continue to grow as a celebratory community. So with that, I send you all flying kisses. Mwah. Thank you, dear Maria, for bringing this together. And I thanks to dear Kirill, and big hugs to all of you.
Gracias.
Blessings. Thank you, Krishna.
Indeed, wholeheartedly, wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
So
dear.
shall we sign off?
Yes, yes. Thank